Right, this is the end of the Sikha of the Lubavitcher Rebbe about the night of Pesach, the Seder, and what we say in the Hagada, that there were four sons. The first one is the wise son, and the second one is the wicked son. And the Rebbe asked the question, why put the wicked son next to the wise son? There's two other sons. A son that doesn't know, a simple son, and a son that doesn't know what to ask. They should be next to this wise son. A wicked son, he should be at the end. Even more, in the Haggadah of Pesach, the wicked son, all these four sons ask questions. The son that doesn't know what to ask, he doesn't ask anything. He doesn't know what to ask. You have to talk to him, but they ask questions. And the wicked son, he says, what is all this stuff on the table? What is all this matzahs and stuff? He says, what is all this work that you're doing? What is this for you? What do you get out of it? That's what the wicked son says. Ma avura azos lachem. What is all this work for you? What are you doing? What are you doing all these rituals and things like that, and this night taking so much trouble? What are you doing? So it says, you answer him back, that it says, if you were back there in Egypt, you wouldn't have even gotten out of Egypt. Wouldn't even got out. So the Rebbe said, no, if you're telling him wouldn't have got out, then what are you inviting him to the table for? What is written in the Haggadah for? If the wicked son is so wicked that he's got no place in going out of Egypt, what are you supposed to do? You bring him there to remind him that he's a loser, that he wouldn't have gotten out of Egypt. So he'll say, well, if I go, then I'll leave also now. Just like back then, I have no place. Here I have no place. Says the Rebbe, no. The Rebbe explained up to now that the wicked son is very important. In fact, he is as important as all the other sons. Why? Because he's a Jew. And even though he's wicked, but he still is a Jew. And so you have to bring, in fact, the reason why he's wicked is because he doesn't know that he's a Jew. He doesn't know what it means to be a Jew. So you have to bring this out of him. And the only one that really can do that is someone who is really, really convinced of it himself and permeated with it. And that's called the wise son. The wise son, he is totally in sync with reality, that he really feels that there is God, and he really acts as though there is God, and he speaks like there is God, and he understands there is God, and he thinks according to the thoughts of God. He learns the Torah, he does the commandments. In other words, he realizes, the wise son realizes that this world is a big miracle. It's God's world, and God is creating us all the time. It's incredible. That's what the wise son realizes. And the wicked son, he doesn't realize this at all. He thinks, what's the big deal? I am the choice of creation. I'm the highest thing there is. There's no God above me. And so I call all the shots. And that's why he is a wicked son. So you have to put him next to the wise son, so he gets a little bit of a glimpse of something that's really greater than himself. There's also another aspect here. The son, if he thinks there's nothing greater than himself, then he really has no framework in which to live. And he has no, he's a suspicion that maybe there's something that's really there's life infinitely more meaningful. I'll just throw in a little innuendo over here. The Rebbe once asked a question, why is it that people sleep? Oh, the only reason that we're created and the reason that we exist is in order to do what the Creator wants, to make this world a better place. That's why we're here. And so if the reason we're here is to do what the Creator wants and to say what He wants and thinks what He wants and feels, then why do we go to sleep? Why is there such a thing as sleep? Why do people sleep away 1/3 or 1/4, whatever it is, of their lives? Every day people sleep, 6 hours a day, 8 hours a day. Why not make it that just people live, let's say, 100 instead of 120 years? So take away 1/3 or take away 1/4. So people will live only till 80 years. So why not make it that way? That's a lot better. And then just live without going to sleep. What's this whole thing about sleep for? When you go to sleep, you're just, you're useless. So the Rebbe said the reason people go to sleep is in order to wake up. In other words, when you sleep, so you think the sleep is really real, and you get really into your dreams, and you're really involved in it, and whatever that you're dreaming about, things, ridiculous things become tremendously important to you, and suddenly you're in China, and then after that you're in the moon, and you're there, but you think it's really real, and then when you wake up, you realize, I thought it was so real. It's really not real. It wasn't really real. It was just, I got really interested in it. It was real as a dream. It was a dream, but I gave much more importance to it. I thought it was like really reality. So when you wake up, all of a sudden a person could think, listen, maybe right now I'm also sort of like in a dream. In other words, I'm giving reality. I'm putting too much reality into things that aren't really so real as I think. People go berserk for money. People give their lives for, like, the joke that the thief stops the person in the street and says, your money or your life. He says, well, take my life because I need my money for my old age. People are crazy. So if a person realizes, hey, one second, this world is really, it's God's world. Money is good, but it's for a purpose. Money is not a goal. So that means a person wakes up. That's what it is. The same thing, the wicked son, he's like asleep. He doesn't really know what's going on. He doesn't realize that there's a greater dimension and a reality that gives him more importance. God is creating him. It's not get out of this low reality and go to the higher reality. So the only one that can do that is the wise son. Why do you tell him then, if you were back there in Egypt, you wouldn't have gotten out? He says, let's see how it goes. We're on Chaf. We're on paragraph Chaf. Lefi Amor. Okay, you with me? See where we are? Yes? Parak Chaf. All these lectures that are given now, these classes are all in the shadow of the corona panic. And here's my pupil. He put them in this little box here. You see where we are? Do you see where we are? Right. Okay. Lefi Amor, according to this, Yesh Lasbir, now we can understand She'amor, what was said, and the Amor lo ilu hayat sham lo hayat nigal. Now we can understand what we're saying to this evil, wicked son, that if you were back there in Egypt, you wouldn't have gotten out. We're not trying to exclude him. No. B'shash Omer Kodesh Baruch Hu, when God spoke to the Jews, and he said, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, I am God your God, excuse me, that took you out of Egypt. When did God say that? In the first of the 10 Commandments, B'lashon Yechid, I am God your God. In Hebrew, there's plural and singular. So when God said, Anochi Hashem Elokecha, he didn't say Elokechem. I am your God, plural. I am your God, each and every person. Excuse me. Nechrata b'kerev kol ish Israel. There was carved out within each Jew, ha'uvda, the fact, she'elokecha, that your God, what does it mean your God? Your power, your life, shall call ish Israel, of every single Jew, who is Anochi Hashem, is God. The creator of the universe is the personal God of every Jew, mibechin Torah. When was that? When the Torah was given, the first of the 10 Commandments. Muchrach kol Yisrael, each and every Jew, shiyeh mishiyeh, no matter who it is, ligael, to get redeemed. Shekain hu b'nogea l'klal kavana hamor. This is the whole intention. That's what you were saying to the wicked son. Ilu hayusham, if you were back then in Egypt before the Torah was given, you wouldn't have been redeemed. Tavka sham b'Mitzrayim, before the Torah was given, you wouldn't have gotten out. Of mitzvah Torah, but now the Torah was given 50 days after the Jews got out of Egypt. Now that the Torah has been given, mitzvah Torah, yiga'al gamhu, he will be redeemed also. Va'al yedei kachem, by means of this, shemarim, that we show, et noam shebatorah, we show how pleasant the Torah is. Mo'orim bo, then we can arouse in the evil son, the wicked son, hitkarvut, the fact that he is really close to Avinu Shabashamayim, to God in heaven. In other words, in each and every Jew is found this oneness, echad chacham, echad tzaddik. There is the oneness of God. There's the feeling that God is really real. and the feeling that God really cares about us. And then I want to throw this innuendo. I talked about this yesterday before, that people called me up and they said, Rabbi, what are we going to do? I'm alone. I was planning to go to my mother's house and have my family over here, and etc. and etc. etc. What am I going to do? I don't want to be alone. The night of the Seder is not nice. So the answer is, you're right. It really is not nice. It certainly is unusual. And if you have a chance, in normal situations, it's very good to be with a lot of people. Very good. By the way, I want to tell a little story that once someone came to the Lubavitcher Rebbe before Passover and he had an idea. This was in I guess it must have been in the 50s, the 60s, whenever, when there was this big thing about getting the Jews out of Russia. Get the Jews out of Russia. There was a big, there were protests, and there was this. And just by way of a parenthetical statement, the Rebbe was very against these protests. The Rebbe said that because of the protests, nobody gets out of Russia. And the Rebbe said, if you don't believe me, stop making the protests 1/2 a year, you'll see that people get out of Russia. And those that made the protests refused. They made protests, they marched in the streets, and they refused to do it. And the Rebbe said that because of this, Jews don't get out of Russia. And sure enough, in 1990, the Rebbe prophesied, he said, all the Jews are going to get out of Russia, the Iron Curtain is going to fall. And that's exactly what happened. The Iron Curtain fell, and just Jews got out. There were so many Jews that got out of Russia, they didn't know what to do. The Jews, they just, a lot of them went back home. They went back to home, but they went back to Russia. In any case, somebody came up to the Rebbe when they were making all these protests and all of this, and the Rebbe, he said to the Rebbe, I think that because the Lubavitcher Rebbe has so much influence in the world, I think that what we should do is, in order to identify with the poor Jews in Egypt and in Russia, that the Jews in Russia, Russia, by the way, is compared to Egypt, that they can't get out. Everybody, the Rebbe should say, everyone should put an empty chair at the Seder night. Empty chair at the Seder night. And this will remind us that there are our brothers over there in Egypt, in Russia, that they can't fill this chair. It will remind us that there's a chair missing that these people can. So the Rebbe said, I think it's a very good idea. I think it's a very good idea. We should do it. He said, you'll tell everybody? So the Rebbe said, yes, but just one detail I would like to change. I think that instead of the chair being empty, the chair should be filled. That everyone should go onto the streets and find some Jew that's not doing Torah and commandments, or that does not doing a Maker night or Seder night, and invite him into the house and put him. So the man smiled, and I was like, the Rebbe didn't get the point, of what we're doing. We want to remind about the Jews that are in Russia, and make this amazing. So he said, Rebbe, that'll be very difficult to do. So the Rebbe said, who said that life is easy? Who said that Judaism is easy? And you'll have to check exactly what the video was, but it was something like that. Who said that Judaism is very easy? Is easy. We have people here that don't know anything about Judaism. Make them come close. That's what's talking about the bad son. We're going to see that the Rebbe said that's the fifth son. That's the fifth son that doesn't even come to the night of the Seder. But nevertheless, we should. This year you can't do that, right? You can't do that. You can't invite strangers into your house. There's the corona and everybody's quarantined. Okay, so back to our subject. What are we going to do? Somebody said, what should we do? So that's just what the Rebbe said here. When God took the Jews out of Egypt, something happened that had never been in the history of the world. And that God showed, right, up to then, God had been the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. Interesting, why don't we say the God of Moses? Why don't we say the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, God of Jacob? Why don't we say the God of Moses? So the fact of the matter is, we do say the God of Moses. When do we say the God of Moses? Every time we make a blessing, we say, Baruch atah Hashem Elokeinu, our God. Because when God gave the Torah on Mount Sinai, that was Moses' job, Moshe, God united with every single Jew. From that time on, no Jew is ever alone. No human being is ever alone. That's a fact. But the Jews are special. The Jews are called the sons of God. They're the special servants of God. At Mount Sinai, God united his name with the Jews. It's called Kiddush Hashem. God united his name with every single Jew. And that's why the first of the Ten Commandments, it says, I am God that took you out of Egypt, you singular. Each and every Jew. And that was the big accomplishment of going out of Egypt. And to this day, we haven't realized it. That's why the whole idea of the Melech HaMashiach, the Mashiach will come and make every Jew realize that, and that's exactly what the Rebbe is doing. That's what all of Chassidut is. Just to realize how close God is to us, that God is really with. How does the Tanya start off? Korov Elecha Hadavar Me'od. It's very, very close. God, the Torah, the commandments are very, very close to you. You are close to yourself. God is even closer. But usually we don't feel this and we don't care. We don't even believe it. Well, this Pesach, this Passover, a lot of people, unfortunately, will be sitting alone. You'll realize it. This Passover, you'll be with God, and there can't be anything happier. And if we can take that away from this year, Passover, and bring it to, God willing, the next Passover is not going to be, we're definitely not going to be alone. All the Jews will be together in Jerusalem. That's what it says. Why? Why? Because the evil son, he would not have gotten out of Egypt, because Egypt was before going out, the giving of the Torah. But as soon as God gave the Torah and united his name with each and every Jew, now everybody gets out. No one is left behind. God has a personal, deep, family, intimate interest in every single Jew in the world. And why? Because the Jews are God's chosen people. And what are they chosen for? To tell the whole world how much God cares for them and likes them and loves them and creates them, provides for them and protects them, listens to their prayers. Very essential. This is the basis of the 7 Noahide commandments. Chav Aleph. Lefi Amor, according to what we said before, Efshal Lasbir, we can explain Gam also at the time, the reason Lakach, that the Ikar Hagada, the main Hagada, is set on the second cup. Lochin, therefore, Shematchil Baganus, and therefore it says that the Haggadah of Passover has to start off with saying bad things about the Jews. In the beginning, we used to be idol worshippers, etc. Yetzias Mitzrayim, and also we were slaves in Egypt. Avodim Hayinu. Av shehi nalid mi'geula, going out of Egypt, even though that it is much nalid mi'geula, even though that it is the highest of all of the other redemptions that we had, right? The Jewish people were slaves in Babylon. We went out from Babylon. There was a time when the Greeks were warning over. We went out about the Greeks. Going out of Egypt was much more impressive and miraculous than that. Shekein b'kol ha'geulas nisharu adayim b'chinas shel galus, v'rag galus Mitzrayim. It says v'yanatlu et Mitzrayim. And all the other exiles that we went out, like the whole story about Purim, the whole story. In Purim, we don't say Hallel on Purim, Hallel to Purim, because it says even now we're still the servants of Achashverosh. Akate avdei Achashverosh anan. The miracles were like one time, and then after that they became sort of covered and confused. We don't really feel it. Passover, Pesach, Purim and Chanukah. But Passover, the reason we make a big meal, because we went out totally out of Egypt. We didn't go back to Egypt. And even more, it says we took out all the sparks of holiness, k'metsula she'en bo dagim, k'metsula she'en bo dagim, like a silo that hasn't got any wheat in it, and like a stream that hasn't got any fish. Ublamarot zot, even nevertheless, lo hayatazu geula shlema. Even though the going out of Egypt was an amazing redemption, all the Jews that left, they never went back, but it wasn't complete. Shekain yesh achrei hagalos, because afterward we see the first temple was destroyed, the second temple was destroyed. Now we're in a terrible exile. Jews are confused. Tachlita shel Yetziat Mitzrayim, the whole purpose of going out of Egypt is lagia legula atida. The whole purpose why we went out of Egypt back then was only to reach the future redemption. That the whole world is free to be what they really are, to express their godliness, their potential. Geula shlema she'en acharei hagalut, then that will be a total redemption. That there won't be any freedom, you won't need any redemption after it. She'aleh anu mitkadmim me'az Yetziat Mitzrayim, that to it we are approaching since we left Egypt. Me'achar, since she'lagia legula atida efshar davka yedei kulan ke'echad, the only way that we can reach the future redemption is if all the Jews are one. In other words, mikavanas imiras Hagada. One of the main intentions of saying this Haggadah in the night of Passover Hishtadlut, and our main efforts, lamakom bo hakushi gadol biyoter, is where's the main emphasis on the Hagada? Where do we say the most of the Hagada? On the second cup. That's where we should put the most emphasis, on the second cup. What do we say the second cup? We said the second cup corresponds to the wicked son. The first cup corresponds to the wise son, the second cup to the wicked son, and the third and fourth cups, that corresponds to the simple and the son, the one that doesn't know what he asks. But the second cup corresponds to the wicked son. That's what we say the whole Haggadah of Pesach is when we pour that second cup, and when we finish the Haggadah of Pesach, then we drink the second cup. And that's when we begin our meal. We eat the matzah afterwards. And even more, the Peticha Yi Mitchila of the Avodah Zarah. Even more, we say, not only is the whole second cup where we say the whole Haggadah, and the second cup is the cup of the wicked son, but we start off even worse. We say the Jews used to be idol worshippers, idolaters. This is talking about what? A fifth son. There's only 4 sons there. Where's the fifth son? He doesn't even ask like the wicked son does, what are you wasting your time for? Why? This fifth son, he doesn't know anything about Judaism. He doesn't think he has any connection to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. It could be never even heard of them. He is more like Abraham's father. He's an idol worshiper. He worships himself. He worships an idol. He worships a person. He worships a star. He worships a power. Terach, Nachor. That's the fathers of father-in-law of father and grandfather of Abraham. In other words, there are fifth sons. There are sons that don't even come. That's the one that the Rebbe said to put in the chair. That this man wanted to have it empty. As a result of dealing with these 4 sons and also going out and looking for the fifth son, and I would like to add, I think there's also a 6th son. And the 6th son is the Chabadnik that goes out somewhere, who knows where, in India, and he looks for the 5th son. He's also not by the night of the Seder. You should know that the Chabad, a lot of the parents, a lot of the families in Chabad, they have 5, 6 sons, and just nobody comes to the side. They have to invite strange guests. Why? Because this son, he's in Thailand, and this son, he's in India, and this son, he's in South Africa, and this one's in Russia, and this one's over here in the Dnipropetrovsk, and this one's they're all spread around the world. That's the 6th son that goes out and looks for the 5th son. The 5th son is the son that doesn't know even that he's a Jew, doesn't know nothing about Judaism, doesn't know anything about Judaism. We have to look for that person. Nizke legula, by means of this, we will merit to the future redemption, which is, I hope, is not going to be so much of a future. It'll be right now. We just don't know about it. Kesiyuma alamiras hakosasheni. When we finish saying the second cup, no delach shir chadash. We will experience a new song. What do you mean a new song? It's not shira chadash. When the Jews went across the Red Sea, so it says when they went to the other side, they sang a new song, but it said in feminine, shira chadasha. Feminine implies that it comes from below to above. That's the feminine aspect, is from below to above. Hamufne, that's why God is always referred to as masculine in all the prayers, because that's from above to below. That's giving. That's the idea of giving, not receive. Okay. This world receives, the Mother Earth, why we see. Omufna agula atida. But when the future redemption is not going to be a shira chadasha that's going to come from us, it'll be a totally new thing that's going to come from God Himself. Lo yizku kol asugim, that all of the 4 sons, even the 5th son, including the wicked son, av shekshila atzmo lo yazocha av legula mitzrayim, the pachuta b'dargata min agula atida. Even though this wicked son, he wouldn't have gone out of Egypt back then. He wouldn't have gone out of Egypt back then. And going out of Egypt was much less of a miracle than the miracle of this that's going to be going out now. But nevertheless, because of the Torah, every single Jew will merit to awaken his Judaism. Afa ben minasuga chamishi. Nachut yoter, that's the lowest. The geula atira she nalit misgulas. Even this son, the lowest of the sons, the furthest away, he's a rebel, he's against Judaism, he hates Judaism, he's a communist, who knows what he is. and he can't stand the whole idea of God and Torah and mitzvahs, this son also will wake up. Al yedei kulanu ke'echad, because every one of us has this one inside of us. And by means of that, we'll accomplish the true purpose of the night of the Seder, Passover Seder, will merit to the Geula Shlema, the complete redemption, which began back then, and we're continuing now. It'll be a complete redemption. She'ein acharei Golus. Next year, all of us will be in Yerushalayim with the Korban Pesach. Really, Al Yedei Mashiach Tzidkenu B'mei Rabbi Yameinu, Mamash.